Good afternoon, everyone. So I have been long looking forward to returning to Vietnam and making my first visit here as Secretary of State. I was here as Deputy Secretary in 2015 and 2016, but I am so pleased to be back today. A decade since the United States and Vietnam launched our comprehensive partnership, and nearly 28 years since we normalized relations, our nations have forged a relationship that is robust, dynamic, and consequential. I'm here at the behest of President Biden to further broaden and deepen that partnership, following the President's call with the General Secretary last month, and building on earlier high-level visits, including from Vice President Harris, Secretary of Defense Austin, U.S. Trade Representative Tai, USAID Administrator Power, and recently as well, members of Congress. Throughout my engagements today, I focused on how the United States can continue to support Vietnam's success, which is good for the Vietnamese people, for Americans, and indeed for the entire region. Our countries are collaborating on an incredibly broad range of shared interests, and we believe that by supporting Vietnam's ambitions, we advance our own, from the creation of American jobs and the strengthening of American businesses, to progress on the climate crisis that affects all of us, to preventing pandemics. I also focused on how our countries can advance a free and open Indo-Pacific, one that is at peace and grounded in respect for the rules-based international order. When we talk about free and open, we mean countries being free to choose their own path and their own partners, and that problems will be dealt with openly, rules will be reached transparently and applied fairly, and goods, ideas, and people will flow freely across land, the seas, the skies, and cyberspace. In my meetings with General Secretary Chung, with Prime Minister Chin, with Foreign Minister Sun, and External Relations Commission Chairman Chuong, I discussed our work to promote broad-based prosperity in Vietnam and throughout the region, including through the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Vietnam's joined negotiations on all 4 pillars of IPEF, and that will help lead a race to the top on the issues that are shaping the 21st century economy, including supply chain resilience, the clean energy transition, digital connectivity, and that will benefit Americans and people across this region. We discussed our mutual respect for ASEAN centrality and our close partnership through regional economic frameworks, including APEC, which the United States is proud to be hosting this year, and the Mekong-U.S. partnership. We appreciate Vietnam's indispensable leadership in solving development challenges in the Mekong region. We're also growing our bilateral economic partnership. The U.S. is helping Vietnam double down on key reforms it's embraced, including on labor, intellectual property, fair trade, which have made it one of the fastest growing economies in the world. We believe that Vietnam can achieve its goal of becoming a connected, high-income country by 2045 by pursuing growth that lifts up all communities while building resilience to adapt to climate change. We know Vietnam is increasingly vulnerable to threats posed by the climate crisis. As Vietnam takes steps to become a leader on climate energy transition, the United States is investing in that tremendous potential. We're launching new bilateral climate initiatives that were announced by Vice President Harris during her August 2021 visit to Vietnam, which do everything from conserving ecosystems and reducing emissions from rice farming in the Mekong Delta, to expanding a market-driven clean energy system and scaling up adoption of electric vehicles, to leveraging our private sectors to drive climate action. We're also harnessing the power of regional frameworks like the Just Energy Transition Partnership. Vietnam recently joined that partnership. That's going to deploy $15.5 billion to help the country deliver on its ambitious net zero 2050 goal, as well as the Japan-US Mekong Power Partnership. We're also collaborating to build up Vietnam's public health capacity, including by establishing a national CDC here in Vietnam. We partner closely to combat the COVID-19 pandemic, with the United States donating more than 40 million vaccine doses, following Vietnam's donation of millions of articles of PPE during the earliest part of the pandemic, when America was at a time of its greatest need. And I have to say, this is a very powerful example of countries coming together and coming to each other's assistance when each of us needed it most. The United States is committed to supporting a strong, prosperous, independent, and resilient Vietnam, and we respect Vietnam's right to shape its future under its own political system. Finally, the United States is committed to our ongoing work to address the legacies of the war, even as we focus on the future. This is a matter of trust, of commitment,